unfortunately, his pilot, Robert Campbell, he didn't die from actually had his arm shot off. Like he was going to bleed out. So
wow, I didn't know that aspect of the story.
I guess lenient in the POW camp with some of the pilots and flew for them and fought for them. And so when we entered the war, they let him transfer because, well, Americans needed the pilots. And so he flew. And one of the missions, it was like, I think it was actually the first daylight raid over Berlin is when the action took place where he was awarded the medal. So he was a co-pilot flying, and unfortunately his pilot, Robert Campbell, he didn't die from immediately. He was mortally injured and he was still trying to fly the plane. So my grandfather had to hold him back, fly the plane. All his gunners were passed out because they shot out the oxygen tanks. One of his I believe it was his belly gunner, Ty Weaver, who I got to meet too, actually had his arm shot off, and they didn't know what to do with him because they couldn't tie a tourniquet. And so like he was going to bleed out. So what they did is they tied a parachute on him and chucked him out the plane because they were so high in elevation they knew it would freeze it. Or that was what they were hoping, is that it would freeze it and the Germans would patch him up. And that's exactly what happened. He was captured, the Germans patched him up, and because he already lost his arm, they sent him back home. They knew he wasn't going to fight, so why take care of him in the POW camps? And so,
wow, I didn't know that aspect of the story. Fascinating.
Yeah, it was. It's amazing. I really.
So keep going with the story.
So I might be a little fuzzy on that one. But whatever his job was or something, but like they were a bit more, I guess, lenient in the POW camp with some of the pilots or something. They made a moonshine out of their Red Cross rations. So one night he got drunk and he beat up a German guard really bad, and he was sentenced to be executed. And we actually still have his execution papers on yellow onion paper. So that was pretty cool to see. Haven't seen those papers in a while, but it was pretty cool. And then 2 days before his execution was to occur, the Russians liberated the camp. And that's why Russia has always kind of intrigued me, just because I'm a very proud American, but I also, if it wasn't for the Russians, I wouldn't be here either. So that's where that interest came from. And so that's why I joined the Marine Corps. I've always wanted to do it. And I finally got to the age where I said, I was 25. I wanted to do it and I better do it. And so I was actually pretty overweight at one time, and I lost 137 pounds and joined. And so that's how I ended up in the Marine Corps. And so went to boot camp, and after you lose that amount of weight, you think that you're some sort of physical specimen. And so you actually get to boot camp, and then you're like, I was like, wow, am I getting too old for this? And what did I do? But also growing up as an Air Force brat, I think there was some sort of expectation or the wrong expectation of what I